Hi, I'm Laura with Red Desert Violin, and I'm going to show you an easy way to perfect beginner's bow hold. I guess I don't need my bow at first. The first thing you need to learn is how to create, remember those shadow puppets that people make on the wall, and there's something like a rabbit or a dog. I don't do shadow puppets, but I know this is one of them. If you can create the shadow puppet with the thumb is behind these two fingers, like that, it creates a little circle. And then if you've got two floppy little ears here, that's very, very close to what you need to learn in order to have a good bow hold. Actually, this is closer to an advanced bow hold, but it's a good exercise. Okay, go from a straight hand into your shadow puppet. And make these ears not so tall, make them just kind of low. That's perfect right there. I'll show you some different angles. Okay, the most important is that circle right there. And you can practice opening and closing that circle. Okay, that's all there is to that. Now, I'll show you how that plugs into the beginning bow hold. I like my beginners to shake out their hand, get rid of all the tension, and just leave me with a rubber hand. Just hang in there like that. That is a good bow hold. The problem is we try to help it, and then we end up into some freaky positions. So, rubber hand, it's a perfect bow hold. Okay, then you're going to stick the violin, or the bow, right into that rubber hand. You see that? Here's my rubber hand, kind of sideways. The pinky is kind of short, so you've got to make sure that the bow contacts the tip of the pinky. These two sort of droop over, and this one lays down on the side. Now here's where the shadow puppet comes in. The thumb is going to hold right on this little metal piece, right like that, with the tip of the thumb. Not flat. That is wrong. You can see how straight and flat that is. With the tip. Now see how that makes the letter, the backwards letter C, or a circle. Okay, now let me show you. When I take, doesn't that look like that shadow puppet? There's one of your floppy ears. There's the circle thing I was talking about, and your pinky is kind of separated as well. Okay, one more time. Let's do a rubber bow hold. Go ahead and let these guys just slap onto the side of your frog, right like that. Pinky is just going to sit there, barely touching, and the first finger is going to lay down on its side. Do you see how I slanted? There we go. And the thumb is going to go right on the ferrule. That's what that metal is called right there, the ferrule. And that is a good beginner's bow hold. I'm going to show you some different angles so that you can check yourself. Okay. You see there's a little gap here, a little gap there. These two guys are kind of close together. Alright. One very, very important thing. If you don't want your pinky falling off, which is a common problem, I'm going to, actually let me just come a little closer so you can see in real resolution. The frog of your bow is octagonal. You've got a top surface here. Then you've got a side surface on this side and a side surface on this side. Your pinky does not sit on top. It sits on the side here, the side that faces you, like that. Can you see that? That will ensure that your pinky does not fall off. Watch what happens if I try to sit. It's going to fall off. I mean, I have a hard time making it fall off because I've practiced so much, but But trust me, you want your pinky on the inner octagonal. That gives you lots of steering capabilities and just lots of bow control. In fact, here, let me try this little trick when I'm on the top of the bow. And I'm trying hard. Okay, and one other rule of thumb, rule of pinky, I guess, don't ever, ever let your pinky go onto the metal, the bow screw. That is out of bounds. Always on the wood. Okay? And that is it for a beginner's bow hold. Once again, I'm Laura with Red Desert Violin, and I hope you found this helpful. Hi, I'm Laura with Red Desert Violin. Today I want to talk to you about intonation, and I'm going to give you a shortcut to fantastic intonation. I know that intonation is the bane of many violin players, and we work really hard trying to improve our intonation because that is what separates amateurs from professionals. It's one of the things. Intonation also happens to be one of the top 3 priorities for a beginner. To me, the priorities for a beginner are your posture and form, your tone or your tone quality, and your intonation. And intonation refers to how well in tune you are. So the shortcut to good intonation that I was referring to earlier is called ringy notes, and it's just a simplified version of using the sympathetic vibrations of the violin to your advantage. I tried practicing this in very complicated ways. You just can't believe the hoops I jumped through to try to improve my intonation using this method. But Ed Kreitman really simplified it for me. Ed was my Suzuki teacher trainer at the Intermountain Suzuki String Institute, and he taught me about ringy notes, and ever since then I think my intonation has improved greatly, and yours can too. So I'm going to demonstrate, well, basically the ringy notes that you have on your violin, coincidentally, are G, D, A, and E. And it's no accident that those notes happen to also be open strings, because when you play an A anywhere on your violin, if it's in tune, it's going to vibrate sympathetically with your open A string, and that's going to give it a big resonant vibraty sound, hence the ringy notes. So the easiest way to work on ringy notes is with just starting with your 3rd fingers, because those are probably the ringiest notes on the violin. Before we do that, I'm going to demonstrate some ringy notes on my 3rd fingers so that you can hear the difference for yourself. So I'm going to just come a little closer so that I can have some help from my assistant. And I'm going to play a ringy 3 on my D string. That note name is G, and I've just so happens that I have a G string right here, and it's going to start vibrating like crazy when I get into the right spot. Okay, I'm going to have my assistant tap the G string to show you I'm not playing the G string, but it's vibrating like crazy. Hear that? So now now I'm going to play it slightly out of tune, and you'll hear that the G string is not vibrating as much. Now let me get back in tune. You hear the difference? Now, if you don't have an assistant standing by, you can test by stopping your bow on the string. You can hear that little after ring. That's the G string vibrating. But it's important, don't cheat, don't go, because anything's going to ring if you take your bow off the string. You got to stop the bow on the string to kill that vibration so that you can hear if any other strings besides the one you were playing on are vibrating. Now slightly out of tune. Still out of tune. I'm hoping the microphone is picking up on that, because when you're standing here right under the violin, it's quite striking. So those are your ringy threes. Incidentally, I should tell you, the third finger on the G string is not a ringy note, because that note is C, and we don't have a C string. So just practice your third fingers on the D string, on the A string, and on the E string. Go ahead and fish around. Get that violin vibrating, wiggle your finger just a hair, not too much, because if you go 3 hairs instead of 2 hairs, then you're going to go too far. So I'm going to show you just a little fishing around. Found it. Okay, now I'll fish around on the E string a little bit. Do you hear that? That is my A string vibrating like crazy. So now I will tell you all of the ringy notes on the violin, although you can figure them out for yourself if you know your violin notes. But I will tell you, it's, well, I'll say them as I play them. Open G, first finger A, second finger B. Oh, I need to explain second finger B. The B notes are ringy notes as well. We don't have a B string, but in simplified terms, if we had a higher string than our E string, it would be a B string. And I think that's probably all you need to know about that. It has to do with the overtone series, but just say if you had an imaginary string on top of your E string, it would be a B. So B is slightly ringy. Okay, starting again. Open G, first finger A, second finger B, open D, first finger E, third finger G, A, first finger B, D, open E, G, this is a low 2, third finger A, and B. Sorry. Now you'll notice I'm playing with my fingers kind of spidery and very tall. That's to make sure that I'm tiptoeing and only hitting one string at a time. That's very important in this exercise, because if you accidentally touch another string with your finger, it can kill that vibration, and then you won't know if you're on the ringy note or not. So I'm going to demonstrate that whole series of ringy notes for you one more time, and I will tell you this comes straight out of Suzuki Book 2. It's called the tonalizations exercise, and many people skip it because they don't realize the value in it. I know I didn't realize it until Ed Kreitman taught me. So here is the tonalization from Book 2 in Suzuki. exercise, go ahead and play every note 2 or 3 or 4 times. Get your violin vibrating. Don't get in a hurry. Sit on that note until your teeth are vibrating out of your head. Work with this exercise. Start learning to use it and listen for those ringy notes in your easier pieces like the Twinkle variations or any of your earlier Book 1 songs, and you will find that your intonation will improve dramatically. I'm Laura with Red Desert Violin, and I hope you found this helpful.